Hello and welcome to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles. We are back again with Trent.
Hello.
We just finished our Jacob Wetterling case.
Yeah,
It was heavy.
it was heavy. We had to decompress for a few minutes before we did this one.
We did. Yeah. Today I feel weird saying it's not as heavy, but
Yeah, somehow it's not, but it also is like murders and death, and
yeah, it's still
so
dark. It's still a normal. I think maybe we're back to normal Wednesdays. Is that safe
yes,
to say?
I think so, and
Yeah.
not like the most heinous case things you can possibly do.
Yeah, like go in a corner and bawl your eyes out,
Yeah, so still dark,
Mhm.
but also hopefully a little less dark than the Wetterling case.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll
it
see
might be
what we
just as
got.
dark, but
Yeah. But before we dive into this, make sure you are following us on all of our social media platforms. They are linked down below in the description, so go check that out. Our email is also listed, so if you want to say hi, feel free, or if you have a suggestion for us on future cases, please also send them our way. Today, we are going to be talking about the Smiley Face Killer theory. And I do have to add, it's a theory.
yeah.
So today, trigger warnings are going to be your typical Wednesday trigger warning. So death, potential homicides, and then today also talking about drowning. That's a pretty common occurrence on
hmm
all of them. So this theory was proposed by retired detective Kevin Gannon and Anthony Durant and criminal justice professor Dr. Lee Gilbertson. Their theory suggests that the series of deaths of young men, mostly college aged men, that were found in bodies of water across the US from the late 1990s to the 2010s are homicides that are linked to a serial killer and not several killers and aren't accidental drownings.
And these people, I mean, they're they're qualified to speak on this too.
Yeah,
I thought
they're,
this just like came from Reddit at some point or something. So
I mean, maybe that's where it started.
yeah, but like the fact that you have actual like criminologists and people
Hmm.
espousing this idea gives a little more credence to it to start in my
Hmm.
mind.
Yeah,
So
they're a lot more qualified to say this than I am.
yeah,
So
it's not like Jess and I just made up our theory of things, you know,
yeah,
which
here, let's sit and talk about our theories
yeah, which
about.
maybe one day we will, but we're not at this point.
We're not there yet. We
We're not
haven't.
there yet.
I'm picturing the. We will be to that point if we ever get to the. Do you know the picture of the guy with the big board with all the red strings
Oh
attached to
yeah, yeah,
different
yeah.
things?
Yep.
His hair is all wacky, and
Yeah.
be like, I figured it out.
Yep.
We're not to that level. Not even
No,
close
we're
to that
not.
level.
We'll just talk about other credible theories for now.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about what people smarter than me had figured
For
out.
sure.
All right. So the name Smiley Face Killer comes from smiley face graffiti that has been allegedly found near some of the locations where the bodies were discovered.
hmm
Again, allegedly. This is a theory. Can't overemphasize that.
Also, I feel like smiley faces are probably one of the most common like graffiti things, maybe. I mean, it's not like it's like some weird symbol that no one's ever spray
Yeah,
painted
it's
on
not
anything before.
uncommon.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I feel like a lot of people, if you gave them a can of spray paint, they would like draw a smiley face somewhere.
I mean, the what prompted me, I know we've talked about Smiley Face Killer,
hmm
but what prompted me to start taking notes on it, um, Mitch, my husband, was out on a walk with our dog, and all of a sudden I get a picture of a smiley face. He's like, "Ooh, Smiley Face Killer is here."
Well, you never know. Let's hope they don't find a body
So,
by
oh,
that.
let's hope not.
Yeah,
I really honestly don't know where he was. He was out on a hike somewhere, but
maybe we'll take a field trip to the smiley face one of these days.
you guys can.
Jess is not up for field trips. I'm always trying to get her to go on spooky, mysterious field trips, and
Mm-mm.
well, Mitch and I will do a special field trip episode to the smiley face.
You guys can have fun with that. I'm gonna stay here.
All right, that's fair.
So Kevin, Anthony, and Dr. Lee have identified somewhere around 45 cases of men who they believe could be all connected.
That's a lot of cases.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know what the 45 are. I
Hmm.
could not find anywhere where there's a list of these 45-ish cases.
Yeah.
Um, but these cases are primarily in the Midwest and Northeast US. These cases typically involve white, college aged, athletic, and successful males who disappear after a night of drinking and are later found dead in rivers, lakes, or other bodies of water, and there is often some smiley face graffiti nearby.
Which is like a fairly specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just they find a body or something. It's like age, gender, race,
Yep.
activities, like body of water. It's not just like, oh, like
Random.
this was random. We found someone 80-year-old in a field and there's a smiley face on a tree. I mean, it's these are all like kind of are pretty specific
Mm-hmm.
circumstances.
They are. They are. Um, Another big thing that I want to talk about before we get into these cases is GHB,
Mm-hmm.
because GHB is huge in this case. Everybody
Yep.
talks about the GHB levels. So, GHB is also nicknamed the date rape drug. It causes euphoric highs and hallucinations. It's odorless and colorless. Some side effects are drowsiness, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and vision changes, and does have the risk of a person to become unconscious and stop breathing. Mixing alcohol and GHB can also be very, very dangerous. GHB does have a pretty short half life, which is 30 to 50 minutes,
Okay.
which I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that either. I thought it lasted longer than that.
Hmm. But the detection of GHB in someone's system, there are some issues with this.
I remember you talking about this to me
Hmm.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is something that I had no idea.
Hmm.
I was on a random Reddit post about it because, of course, you can't do a Smiley Face Killer episode without going on Reddit.
Exactly. That's like Reddit is like smiley face central.
Yeah, and I saw something about GHB and I was like, no, that's not true. And so I had to do some research on GHB. So blood detection is 8 hours, urine up to 12 hours, saliva detected up to 6 hours, and hair can be detected to a month but is less accurate.
Sure.
Now, after death, detecting and interpreting GHB gets pretty complicated. GHB is naturally present in our bodies and can actually increase after death because of how our bodies decompose.
Mm.
This makes it hard to figure out what is naturally occurring GHB and what GHB is not naturally occurring. Because, like, what level was the GHB in your body when you died?
Yeah.
Like, how do you figure that out? And then the longer, like, the more time that passes and goes on, the harder it becomes to interpret
Yeah. So I mean,
what it is.
if somebody shows up at a hospital and they like lost time or they're worried they were assaulted or something, then it probably is pretty accurate. If
Mm-hmm.
it's quick, and then if they find a body like an hour after someone died or something, it's probably fairly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have cases where a body washed up a month later, a week later, who knows?
Right.
So it could be,
Exactly.
it could, yeah, it seems like it could be
Mm-hmm.
pertaining to the case, or it could just be the natural decomposition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I figured that was something that does need to be talked about because
yeah,
this is
because
something
people
that,
point to that in all these
yeah.
cases, as a similarity. But even if you just find bodies floating that had no foul play, someone just drowned or something,
Mm-hmm.
they could have conceivably the same levels of GHB
Right.
in their bodies. So
Yeah. And if you just so happen to be listening and you are a toxicologist or you are a mortician,
yeah,
um, and you know more about this, I am not an expert. Please let me know all of this because it was
Yeah, this is new
hard.
to us.
Yeah.
So, and especially I didn't know this until you had told me. And
Yeah.
then I did some research on it too after you told me, and it said the same thing you were saying.
Yeah.
That's not really that reliable when you
Yeah.
find a body, you know. So if anyone has any more information on like naturally occurring GHB versus
Hmm.
somebody being drugged, please let us know.
Yeah, like, I'm thinking like there's like naturally occurring testosterone, and then there's other,
Hmm.
like, you can test for steroids and you can pop positive for steroids, but some you don't because it's naturally occurring. Like when someone puts GHB in someone's drink or whatever, is there a difference?
Yeah.
Is there naturally occurring and is there like artificial?
Yeah, I mean, like, do we have GHB in our bodies right now, like in small levels,
Right.
or is it only with the decomposition process too? I mean, obviously, we don't have it in large levels in our body, otherwise, we'd
Mhm.
be experiencing all those symptoms you talked about.
Right.
So, but I do wonder, like, what the normal natural dose is if anyone has that living, or if it's only purely
Right.
from the decomposition.
Yeah. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love to know though.
So if you're a GHB expert or anyone in that realm, please enlighten us. We would love to know
Yes.
more.
Yeah, you can put it down in the comments or you can email us.
Yeah, shoot us an email.
Yeah, we would love to learn more. Okay, so getting into some of the cases. Now, these cases that we're going to talk about are basically just the few cases of the 45 that I could find
Hmm.
that these guys were talking about could be connected.
Sure.
Again, could be connected. So the first we're going to talk about is, I'm also going to go by like oldest case to newest case.
Okay.
So the first case is Patrick McNeil. On February 16th, 1997, in New York City, Patrick McNeil, a 21-year-old student of Fordham University, was out at the Dapper Dog Bar out for drinks with friends, which
I
I
like the
love
sound of that
that.
bar. Dapper Dog sounds like a fun place on a Saturday night.
It does. I know. I remember writing that down and be like, I like that.
Yeah, I want to go to the Dapper Dog, although after we hear this case, maybe not as
Maybe
much,
not.
but sounds like a cool place.
Yeah. So Patrick was seen in the bathroom in the bar throwing up just before leaving. He was observed outside of the bar, stumbling, falling, and basically just being disoriented. Patrick was walking south, and a car occupied by a man and woman was following him. The last anyone saw Patrick, he turned left on 90th Street, heading for the East River. The vehicle was following him still at this time.
So he left alone. He didn't leave with his
Hmm.
friends or anybody.
He left alone.
Okay.
Yep. Patrick's body was found on April 7th, 1997, in the East River, which was about 12 miles from his last known location.
And almost 2 months later.
Hmm. Yes. Yeah, we're going from February 16th to April 7th. The coroner ruled his death an accidental drowning with a blood alcohol level of 0.16. But the detectives assigned to this case noticed some red flags. First, Patrick's wrists had faint ligature marks, meaning that he could have been bound.
Hmm.
His body was also not bloated, which is typical for drownings, especially when the bodies have been in bodies of water for a long
Extended
period
period
of
of time.
time.
Yeah.
Which, if we're going from February to April, that's extended periods of time.
Yeah, the most bodies would be bloated and more disfigured and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And about 10 feet from where Patrick's body was discovered, there was a 2 foot long red painted smiley face on a concrete pile.
So close too. It
Really
wasn't a
close.
mile away or anything. I mean, it was right there.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first case.
And did they do any GHB testing with that or no?
I didn't find any on him.
Or did they find any other
Um,
drugs in his system?
I don't believe so. No,
Okay,
not
so they
that they
found the
said, anyways.
alcohol in there, which was a decent amount. I mean, double the
Mm-hmm.
legal limit,
Yeah.
But And I mean, and who knows? I mean, it's because like that level of alcohol everyone responds differently to, but like it doesn't seem like the level where he would be that like
And
out
that's
of it. I mean, most college kids on a Saturday night probably have that level of alcohol in their system, but also like who knows how long if it was accidental, how long before he
yeah.
fell in? Did his body metabolize some alcohol? Who knows what his blood
Hmm.
alcohol was when he left the bar or any of that. But um, it's not like that. It's not like 0.25, 0.3,
Right.
something where you're like, oh, that makes sense. It was just alcohol.
Yeah. And I do remember seeing Reddit posts on this case being like, he shouldn't have been that disoriented. He shouldn't have been,
Yeah,
violently puking in the bathroom.
that's
And
that's what I would think with that
yeah.
blood alcohol level.
Hmm.
So, hmm. And the like it is weird that a car was following him that
Yeah.
like wasn't people he knew, or and if it was people he
Hmm.
knew, they'd be like, get in, let's take you home,
Right. Yeah.
so that is strange too.
Hmm.
And it was two people, a man and a woman, in the
Man
car.
and a woman.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't seem like accidental drowning just based on the little bit of evidence that we have,
Yeah.
between ligature marks and not being bloated and
Hmm.
all that stuff. That doesn't seem like normal. You just fell in the river because you were drunk.
Not generally, no. I do also wonder how, like, after, someone dies, how accurate is blood alcohol
Yeah.
level, especially like months later.
Mm-hmm. Because you think that has to change somehow
Yeah.
in the decomposition and everything too.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
Our Wednesdays might become a little scientific-y.
Yeah, we're gonna turn into toxicologists and chemists and stuff here.
I can actually see that happening, though. That's the funny part.
I know, because we're both kind of nerds for
I
all that stuff
know.
too. So
Oh, that's what happens when you get two medical people in the
I
room
know
together. Be
who are
like, ooh.
curious and like understand some things about the body. Obviously, not great on toxicology right now, but
I don't. Neither of us really. I'm pretty confident saying neither of us know much about what happens when you die to a
no,
body once it dies.
no, we're used to. I mean, you have worked with more people who are dying or close to death, but also
Yeah.
it's not like you're not working on people who are 2 months dead. So
No, I'm not. I mean, walked in on a couple of those, but
yeah.
not. I mean, I either work a cardiac arrest or I don't.
Hmm.
It's
And all of my patients, luckily, are very alive, so they might be in pain, but they're alive.
knock on wood.
Yeah. Yes. If you are dead, do not make an appointment to come see me, please.
Oh gosh. Um. All right. The next case is Brian Welson. On January 1st of 2000, Brian Wilson went missing. Brian was a junior at Northern Illinois University studying finance and went missing after celebrating Y2K with his friends, which that had to have been a fun
Yeah,
night.
especially when you like there was talk of like being the end of the world and
Oh
end of
yeah.
civilization and everything.
Yep.
So I mean we both were too young to be out partying for Y2K, but I could imagine
Yep.
if you were an adult and especially at that age, like you would have a rager for Y2K.
Yeah, I was close to being 3.
You might have had a little extra milk and applesauce that night to celebrate Y2K.
Probably
Yeah.
couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So Brian was said to have rarely partied because he was on the soccer team at the college, but that night he had a few drinks. Friends stated that he only had 3 to 4 drinks, but seemed to be like very intoxicated,
Hmm.
heavily intoxicated. Brian and some friends decided to call it a night and go back to the hotel that they were staying at. During the drive, Brian was vomiting, and his friend told him to get out of the car while they parked. There were several witnesses stating that they saw Brian outside of the hotel vomiting in the street. When his friends got to the hotel, they couldn't find Brian anywhere, and he was reported missing around 1 p.m. On March 17th, Brian's body was found washed up on a beach in Gary, Indiana, which was 30 miles south of Chicago.
And again, 3.5 months later now.
3.5, yep.
Wow.
Yep. Police stated that there wasn't any sign of foul play, and his death was determined an undetermined drowning. Investigators believe that he could have walked 5 minutes from the hotel to Lake Michigan and fell in. Brian's blood alcohol concentration was only 0.08%.
So, like, right at the legal limit.
Yep.
And that makes sense with his friend saying he only had a few drinks.
It does,
And he's a
yeah.
young, fit, healthy, athletic college kid.
He's going to burn through it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that doesn't point to the symptoms that he was having, and like how he was acting. That sounds like he was either drugged or had way more alcohol than what was reported and what was in his system.
Yeah. Again, for him, couldn't find anything on GHB. And police stated that police have not said if there was a smiley face near his death.
Okay.
A lot of these I was finding that, weren't on this list. A lot of them are like police won't confirm if there was something, or, I mean, they're not including it at least.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, also part of it, like, police's job is to like treat each case as a thing and not to like create hysteria around. I mean, even right now in this country, there's some thought that there's a serial killer in New England, based on like all the bodies that have showed up in the last year and everything. But like police are very much like, we have no evidence that there's a serial killer, that these are linked or anything like that. So it's their job not to like create hysteria if they don't have any evidence, of that. So I could see why, even if they did find a smiley face, they're not going to like add to any conspiracies or, anything like that. And I mean, especially if this was one of the like first cases with it either, or two, they might not have even thought that was relevant, that the whatever graffiti was around, so that's not the first thing police probably look at if they think it's a drowning, is like, well, what graffiti is like around us,
what's near us.
So
no, it's hard to say. And even like, I mean, once say all of them did, then is this still just one person, or do we have a whole bunch of copycats? Maybe it was just a fluke thing and now there's a whole bunch of people out here.
Sure.
So I don't know.
But I mean, that one, it's a little less intriguing. I don't know if like the body was bloated or anything on that one. But it's not having like any of the wrist marks or anything. I mean, the only real thing, yes, he drowned, or like, was found in a body of water. And then like his behavior not matching the amount of alcohol that he consumed.
That's the only thing that I can see that they're going off of here. Yeah. Is that part's just not matching up.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And if your blood alcohol is 0.08, most people aren't gonna on New Year's Eve like go in a lake, in the upper Midwest.
Yeah,
so
not generally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure somebody's done it. Don't do it if you're thinking about it, but it doesn't seem plausible that he's just like, oh, I'm going to leave the hotel and go walk to a lake. And
especially with how intoxicated he
was feeling. He was. Yeah,
I mean,
at least the way he was acting. In the street. Yeah, most people, if they're like puking in the street, just want to get into a room and lay down or get water.
If you can even walk in a straight line.
Yeah, you're not going to like go on a 5-mile hike to a lake and jump in.
No.
So that does seem weird.
Yeah, but I don't have much on that one. Like I said, there's no report on GHB or anything. So,
but it definitely fits the pattern in a lot of ways of some of the things that don't add up. But same type of person,
young, athletic, male,
acting way more drunk than they were or should have been, and then ending up in a body of water months later.
Yeah,
so that definitely kind of fits.
Yep. The next is Chris Jenkins. 20-year-old Chris Jenkins went missing on October 31st, 2002 in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
And I have heard about this case.
You have?
Yeah, so this one I have heard about. I actually watched like a YouTube documentary about this a couple weeks ago. So this one is another one that definitely has more questions than answers.
Okay. Well, you'll probably be able to add more to this then, for sure. Chris was out with friends celebrating at the Lone Tree Bar and was kicked out around midnight. Chris left behind his phone, wallet, and jacket. The bouncer had seen him take a left on Hennepin Avenue, and he wasn't seen again. I made a note here uh, to point out that this was October 31st, 2002, and on November 9th, 2002, Josh Guimond disappeared, which was,
Yeah.
we did an episode on him.
Yep. Another Minnesota college kid
Yeah.
who disappeared, and he's never been found. But
No.
yeah, that's only 9-10 days apart. So
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting.
Okay, so 4 months pass, and on February 27th, 2003, Chris's body was discovered in the Mississippi River. Chris was still wearing his slip on shoes, his shirt was still tucked in, and his costume was intact and his arms were crossed. The autopsy concluded that Chris drowned and the manner of death was unknown. Police theorized that Chris was drunk and either accidentally fell or jumped from the Hennepin Avenue Bridge into the river. In 2004, the case was closed, and Chris's parents hired a private investigator in hopes to find out more answers. The PI noted that Chris didn't have the injuries that they would expect from a fall or a jump from that bridge. There were also discrepancies that suggested that his body wasn't in the river the whole time that he was missing. In 2005, police received a tip on Chris's death, and in November of 2006, police reclassified this case as a homicide. That tip claimed Chris to be the victim of an attempted robbery and was thrown into the Mississippi River. In 2007, a suspect was identified, but there wasn't enough evidence to file charges. Another person came forward saying that they were at the same bar as Chris a few months after his disappearance. After he had a few drinks, he became sick and almost lost consciousness. A few men tried to put him in a car, but a friend came and got him. He was then taken to the hospital, and it was found that he had a high amount of GHB in his system, and there is a theory that this could have happened to Chris. According to Gannon and Anthony Durant, they believe that Chris's death is linked to the Smiley Face Killer, and they said that there was a smiley face found near the crime scene. But police haven't confirmed that there's a smiley face.
And that's because they did have the suspect, that somebody like ratted on somebody else and said that that he had like said that he had robbed a kid that matched the description and then pushed him in the river. But the big thing is like the physical evidence doesn't line up at all with either being pushed from, because the Hennepin Bridge is pretty high. And so if you would have more bruising, you'd have probably more broken bones or things like that. And then also they said like a forensic analyst was saying that his shoes would not have stayed on because they weren't like tie up, they were like moccasin style things, like he was going as like a Native American, for
which we'll have that on the Instagram.
For Halloween. And so he had like loose fitting moccasin style shoes on. And they said that even just in like falling, they probably would have like in air come off, let alone if you hit the water, the shoes would not be on. And like his costume and his body would have been way more beat up than it was of him either being pushed or falling in the river.
Because it's a high bridge. That would be quite a dramatic fall.
And also the flow is like decently powerful in the Mississippi there. So even if he did go in, things would have come off of his costume and clothing wise, from his body. And like I don't remember the exact specifics, but they did go into the fact that if he fell in or was pushed in that night, his body would have had way more signs of being in the Mississippi for that long than they did. It was almost like he was like freshly in there. And also just knowing, I mean, they do find bodies in the Mississippi and stuff, and it's rare that it's like that long, especially around the city there, and like where his body was hung up that they found it. It's hard to believe that he was in there the entire time. So that one like doesn't add up to me with like there's so many inconsistencies in how his body was and physical evidence from being pushed off a high bridge into the Mississippi.
Yeah, no, it does not, it does not match up. And I mean, I had a thought and it just poof went away. Like, what was I gonna say? Uh, my
Come on,
brain just
Jess.
shut down. Reboot, reboot.
Yeah.
Um, oh, found it. So I am glad that this one did get reclassified as a homicide, though.
Hmm.
So it went from, accidental to homicide.
And I know there was a lot of pressure from the family on like Minneapolis Police Department and everything, even throughout the process, to say
Hmm.
like from the very beginning when they found the body that like this doesn't match
Yeah.
like him just falling or jumping off the bridge
Hmm.
in there. So, and he was apparently like in a great state of mind and having good to all his friends and everybody were like he was a happy go lucky kid and like and I
Hmm.
mean you people can hide that, but
Yeah.
there was no sign that he would have jumped in the river on his own or anything. So
No.
um
And even still, it just does not
it
match.
doesn't match even if he did that, even if he was pushed, as the mechanism for the homicide,
Yeah.
it doesn't match up at all
No.
with how his body was found.
No, it does not. That's all I have on him. The next case is Todd Geib, Geib. On June 11th, 2005, 22-year-old Todd was at a bonfire party at an orchard in Casnovia, Michigan. Casnovia, Michigan, sure. During the night, Todd made several calls from his cell phone. One of the phone calls was to a friend who said that she heard Todd tell her, quote, "I'm in a field," end quote, and then the call dropped. Early the next morning, he was reported missing by his mother. 3 weeks later, his body was found in a lake that had been already searched. His body was found with his head and shoulders sticking out of the water, and there weren't a lot of signs of decomposition, which suggested that he didn't die when he went missing.
Yep.
Again,
Again, same sort of pattern.
yep. And then his death was also ruled an undetermined drowning. Alcohol and antidepressants were found in his system, even though it wasn't reported that he was suffering from depression.
Hmm.
There was a smiley face spray painted on a tree near where Todd's body was found, and a smiley face sticker was later even placed on his gravesite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's extra creepy too.
Yeah.
Not just where the body is, but also on his grave.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I mean, these were happening before the theory was out of the Smiley Face
Yes.
Killers,
I
because
don't know when this theory started.
I could see like nowadays some sick person being like this was a smiley face death. I'm going to put a smiley face sticker on their gravestone or something.
Right.
I don't do that. That's gross. But also, like, I could see somebody doing that. But back then, if it wasn't even a accepted theory,
Mhm.
or people hadn't connected the dots between some of these, why would there be, of all things, a smiley face at the scene and then on his grave too?
Yeah. It sounds like, from a really, really quick Google search here, it looks like this theory started to become like a more public theory in 2008.
Okay. And his case was when?
2005.
Okay. So before the public even was latching onto this at all.
Yeah.
So like why would that seems really strange to me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's creepy.
And again, like bodies fairly reliably decompose in water. There's certain water chemistry and like depending on time of year and cold and all
Hmm.
that stuff, where they may do it slower,
Yeah.
but still bodies decompose, they bloat, they
Hmm.
fish and other as gross it is, there's other signs of animal predation and things, that like
Hmm.
that happen. And so like
Right.
it's so weird to be finding bodies, a
Months
month,
later.
2 months, 3 months later that are like fairly pristine for having supposedly been in a body of water for that long.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. That's what I have on Todd. Lucas Holman is next. On September 29th, 2006, Lucas Holman, aged 21, was out bar hopping, celebrating Oktoberfest with his friends. Lucas headed home around 10 p.m. that night with a friend. The two of them got separated while walking home, and Lucas's friend was picked up by the police and brought to the ER for a head injury,
Hmm.
supposedly. He didn't remember anything that happened that night. A search for Lucas began, and search dogs had a hit on an SUV that was owned by a band member who was playing the night that Lucas disappeared at a bar that Lucas was at. It stated that the canine alerts were inconclusive. Yeah, it sounds like nothing really came of that at all.
They didn't find a connection to the band or the owner of the vehicle or any of that stuff.
No. Um, and he wasn't investigated. The band member wasn't investigated. On October 2nd, Lucas's body was found on shore of the Mississippi River and ruled as an accidental drowning. Now his blood alcohol level was a 0.32.
Okay, so that's where you are disoriented, you're like blacked out, you're it would make more sense than the other levels that we've heard so
Yeah.
far that
Yep.
you'd be having issues and maybe wind up stumbling into a body of water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, with that, that's definitely more reasonable. It makes more sense logically.
Yeah.
But he had injuries to his head, his hands, and his arms. Gannon and Gilbertson theorized that one of the marks on his forehead could have been a footprint from being held down.
Hmm.
And there was also a smiley face found spray painted close to where Lucas's remains were found.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to me that some of the cases have, and this is one of my issues with the smiley face theory, is some of the bodies have like show signs of like foul play, kind of,
Yeah.
whether it's like the ligatures or like bruises or something where they were attacked or hurt or something like
Yeah.
that. And some don't. Some are like fairly pristine for any signs of
Mm-hmm.
foul play. And so that is weird to me. If you did have like a serial killer or somebody who was abducting and assaulting these people and then killing them, you'd think that there would be those kind of signs,
Right.
of like injuries or restraint marks or things like that.
Yeah.
And some of the cases don't have that. This one does. The first one did, but that does seem weird to me that like they would do whatever with these people and then kill them, and you wouldn't see much markings to show any of
Mm-hmm.
that. So,
I mean, this is also this one also stands out a little bit for a couple reasons. First off, it was only a couple days between him going missing and them finding the
which is an
bodies.
outlier.
That is an outlier. The second thing is he was not by himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was with a friend who knows what happened to his friend. Cops picked him up because he had a head injury. Was it because he was too intoxicated and fell or something? I don't know. I couldn't find anything on it.
But also,
But
like two friends that are both intoxicated, the chance of both of them having like falling and hitting their head, it's not impossible, especially with that
No,
level of alcohol in your
it's not.
bloodstream. But like it seems weird that
Yeah.
both would fall and have head injuries, and like the one that survived, it was obviously extensive enough that he didn't remember anything and was taken
Yeah.
to the hospital and all that. So that seems strange to me
Mhm.
that just happened organically.
Yeah. Yeah, those were the two red flags that,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess the days isn't really a red flag, it's an outlier.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hmm. And I mean,
was
again,
weird.
another smiley face.
Another smiley face.
Yeah.
Next is Tommy Booth. On January 19th, 2008, Tommy Booth, age 24, was at a bar celebrating a friend's 21st birthday, which, if I'm not mistaken, he's the oldest one so far.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as you said that, because most of them are around
21.
19 to 21,
Mm-hmm.
around that age or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, 24 still is, I mean, if he's still friends with 21-year-olds and
Yeah.
everything, I mean, that's like an age where people still will be at the same areas doing the same stuff. So
Exactly. Yeah. So that night, Tommy disappeared. Surveillance shows Tommy entering the bar. But there's no video of him leaving the bar. Over the next few weeks, there have been multiple searches and they didn't find anything. 2 weeks later, Tommy was found face down in a creek behind the bar, and his death was ruled probable drowning, and he had no signs of trauma. According to Gannon and Gilbertson, Tommy's body was found to be in full rigor mortis, and that usually stops within 24 to 36 hours after
Yeah,
death.
there's no way that it would be that long in rigor mortis.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not how that works. Huh.
No. Yeah. So, due to this, they believe that he didn't drown the night that he disappeared, and they also stated that the body appeared to be staged, as there were 3 sticks that appeared to be placed around his body, and there was a shoe and a drag mark in the soil. There was a smiley face on the wall of the bar that was painted under the deck.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a weird one. And like
Mhm.
obviously if they killed somebody, it would be easy to like bring him to the creek behind the bar and be like, oh, he walked out the back door and drowned and
Mhm.
everything, because that would be believable if they found him like the next morning or something, and or if he was in rigor mortis,
Right.
or if any other of the other things added up, it would be like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe he stumbled out of the bar and fell in the creek,
Right.
that could happen,
Yeah.
but the rest of it doesn't seem to add up.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
that doesn't make sense. And the fact that like nobody found or saw the body in 2 weeks, that seems weird too.
Mhm.
If it was just there the entire time.
Right.
Hmm. And another smiley face.
And another smiley face. Yep. The next is William Hurley. So, William, also 24 years old, he was a Navy veteran and he went to a hockey game with 2 friends on October 8th of 2009. About halfway through the game, William called his fiancée Claire and said that he wanted to leave. He went outside to wait for Claire to come pick him up. When she got to the stadium, he wasn't there. She called him to ask where he was. When he picked up, he asked someone where he was, and the man told him 99 Nashua Street or Nashua Street. William told Claire his phone was about to die. Claire drove to the address, but again, William was not there. She tried to call him, but it seemed that his phone had died. She drove around for an hour before returning home, thinking that he could have possibly gotten a ride, but he wasn't there when she got back. Claire reported him missing, and 6 days later, his body was discovered in the Charles River close to where he told Claire to pick him up. Investigators ruled his death undetermined drowning, and there wasn't any signs of foul play. William's mother got a copy of the autopsy report, and there were reports stating that he suffered blunt force trauma to his head, eyes, and behind his left leg. GHB was found in his system as well as alcohol, and there was a smiley face found to be painted near the river.
Hmm. Yeah, that's strange too. And it
Mhm.
seems like if I were calling somebody to pick me up from somewhere and my phone was going to die, like I wouldn't stray from that area. Like you would
No.
just like stay there until the person comes.
Yeah, I'm not wandering.
Yeah, I'm not wandering around because that's like you don't have a phone, you don't have anything, and
Hmm.
like you're just gonna stay in that spot until they come to get you.
Exactly.
So the fact that he wasn't there, and then all the other stuff, and the fact that they thought it was a drowning, but he obviously had blunt force trauma,
Hmm.
that seems weird too. And I mean, you can, depending on how you fall in, if you
You
fall down
can.
a
Yeah.
riverbank or something, you could certainly have bruises and have
Oh, for
issues and
sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
But um, I don't know. That seems weird to me.
Yeah. Also, I was not able to find any of the autopsy reports on any of these guys that we're talking about.
Sure.
So we're just going again from news reports and articles. But yeah, I mean, say he did fall and hit his head, and if it was significant enough, that could have knocked him unconscious and he could have drowned
I
if
mean,
he did
definitely.
land in the
Yeah,
river.
definitely.
But
But like, why was he even by the river? Why was he?
Right.
I don't know. That seems weird. Like, it doesn't seem like he was as like intoxicated seeming as the other ones or anything. You know, he
No.
wasn't stumbling around, he wasn't throwing up. He, you know, as far as what from what you said.
Yep.
So it seems weird that um, he wasn't where his fiance was going to pick him up,
Mm-hmm.
and then ended up being found in the river. So I don't. That's a weird one.
I also don't have a blood alcohol level on him either.
Hmm. So he was just at a hockey game. He wasn't out partying or anything after.
Just at a hockey game.
Okay.
Yep.
Which, I mean, people can get drunk at a hockey game, but also
Oh, you can,
it's
but
not quite the same as like going out to party at bars and
no.
everything.
Yeah,
So,
not typically.
and it doesn't sound like um, his fiance was like reported that he was like sounded super intoxicated or anything either. So,
Not that I could find, no. The last case that I have for Smiley Face Killer is the theory is Dakota James. On January 25th, 2017, 23-year-old Dakota James was out drinking with friends and coworkers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Around 11:30 p.m., James started walking home from the bars. He was last spotted on a surveillance camera in the downtown area and entered a dark alley. He never made it home. The next morning, Dakota didn't show up for work. His boss called his family and they filed a missing persons report 72 hours later. Dakota's family hired a private investigator who organized a citywide search and led to the discovery of his body. Dakota's body was discovered on March 6, 2017, in the Ohio River. Police theorized that he fell into the river when he was crossing the bridge near the city center and drowned. They believe that his body traveled 10 miles and even through a dam before discovery on March 6th. There was no visible trauma to his body, though, and a smiley face was found to be spray painted on an underpass close to where Dakota's body was discovered.
so he passed through a dam and 10 miles of river, and his body was like fine.
No trauma.
Yeah, that doesn't quite add up. I mean, you'd think there'd be something. I mean, even if you like, if like we just like jumped in a river right now and just like floated down even alive, you'd think like you'd get beat up at some point, you know, depending
Yeah,
on the river. But like, especially if you're going over a dam, like,
you would think that you're going to get beat up. I mean, just the force of, I don't know if it's normal in other states or other parts of the country, whatever. Um, but there are a lot of dams here that we can
mm-hmm.
see. I grew up really close to one, and the sheer force at the bottom of those,
Yep.
there isn't any, in my mind, there's no way you're going to get out of that clean. I
No,
mean, even
no.
thinking about the things that are going over the dam with you.
Mm-hmm. Logs and branches and, you know,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
I mean, and they're not these puny little things either. Some of
No.
them are wicked.
Yeah. And some of these are like big rivers too. I mean, we've had two in the Mississippi with the Charles, the Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember some of the other ones, but some of these are like, they're not just like little, you know, so a few of them were like in a creek and things like that. But
Yeah.
some of these big rivers, like they're fast flowing. There's tons of water. Like you'd think that, I don't know, you'd think there'd be some more damage to the body than
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and we have another smiley face supposedly.
Yep.
So, yeah. Um, so that's what I have for cases. And then I have a couple more things here. So, a criminal profiler, Pat Brown, argues that this theory of a serial killer is ludicrous, in his words, and argues that the evidence doesn't fit that of what is known about serial killers. He also believes that the smiley face images that have been found are just coincidence, as it is, quote, not an unusual symbol. If you look in any area 5 miles square, I bet you could find a smiley face, end quote.
Well, that's what we talked about too, is that it's
Yeah.
not like a super specific image that people don't spray paint normally. I mean, it is probably, I don't know like graffiti stats, but it is probably like a top 10 symbol that people would
I
graffiti.
know. Yeah.
So, and I mean, Mitch, your husband, like just saw a smiley face, just walking rubies.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. It's not
so I mean, there are
super.
probably thousands and thousands of smiley faces graffitied around the
Hmm.
country. But it does seem weird that there's one so close to these bodies that all like fit a very specific, you know, evidence
Age and
profile.
yeah.
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 So
Yeah. It's weird.
it is weird. I wonder what else he thought, like why he thought it didn't fit a serial killer profile. Because I mean, it definitely is different than a lot of serial killings where it's either like strangulation, shooting,
Right.
stabbing, like more violent seeming type things. A lot of these bodies don't have a lot of evidence of that on there. Some do, but it's not like they all have a bullet hole,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. It just seems like I agree that it does seem weird that this would be someone's modus operandi is to like, keep them
Hmm.
somewhere alive and then without too many signs of issue, dump them in
Right.
water.
I mean, I also wonder if it's like geographical. Like we
Mm-hmm.
know like serial killers like Bundy
Mm-hmm.
went across state lines. We know that. But like there are a lot. I mean, we talked about two Minnesota cases, but like this last one was in Pennsylvania and like
Yeah. There's
we
ones in
had
Illinois
Illinois.
and yeah.
So maybe the
I was
I don't
thinking that
know.
as we were going
Yeah.
to. I mean, it seems like the majority of serial killers that get caught, it's like a tighter region or
Yeah.
it's like one area
Yeah.
specifically. And this one is like 1,000 miles of
Yeah.
area. But also, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it also like if someone is a serial killer, there's like maybe if they're trying not to get caught, they're like, well, we'll
Yeah.
do one here, we'll do one there. Well,
Yeah. I could see that. It's just like even with I'm thinking like Bundy, like he still had his pockets.
hmm
It wasn't like one here, one there. He had isolated pockets,
yeah,
even though it was across state borders and
yep.
everything like that.
Or there's
So,
some serial killers that like follow like a highway or something, and you can see the progression of it along the path.
yeah.
So like they killed someone here, they killed two people here, and it like follows the line of a
Yeah.
highway or of a certain thing.
Hmm.
And these seem like they're dotted all over the place at
Yeah.
different timelines too. So
Yeah.
if it's one person, it seems weird that they would like be in Illinois and then a couple years later be in Minnesota, then a couple years later in Pittsburgh and or
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Like that seems, I don't know. It doesn't fit with what we think of as classic like serial killer behavior.
Right.
So
Yeah. So maybe, but I would like to know what exactly he was talking about.
yeah, like what was his specific things? Because he's
Yeah.
obviously very confident in his opinion,
Hmm.
and so it would be interesting to know like what specifically he's saying about that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Gilbertson and Gannon have stated that they have examined non suspicious death areas, and smiley face graffiti is not common.
mm.
Now, what common and not common means, I don't know.
But it does. I mean, it would be interesting to see like if like ones we know are drowning, like accidental drownings, like somebody falls out of a boat or there's a storm and some
Hmm.
something that we know definitively wasn't foul play.
Yeah.
Like if what the percentage of those had a smiley face within a little ways of where their body
Hmm.
was found. And I mean there's no way to really definitively like provide that because
No,
if someone drowned, you're not going to be looking at the graffiti around there.
generally not.
Yeah,
No.
but I don't know. That's one that's hard to argue either way. I don't really know what makes sense on that.
Well, I don't know either. Well, if you go out on a walk near a river, let us know if you find a smiley face.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't find a body.
Fingers crossed. The FBI has reviewed information from Gilbertson and Gannon about the smiley face murders. Quote, to this date, we have not developed any evidence to support links between these tragic deaths or any substantiating the theory that these deaths are the work of a serial killer or killers. The vast majority of these instances appear to be alcohol related drownings. The FBI will continue to work with the local police in the affected areas to provide support as requested. End quote. And that was from FBI.gov and was a national press release from April 2008. So when this theory became popular.
I wonder how if there's cases in the last 17 years or 15 years since then that fit that profile as well.
Well, I mean, our last one was from 2017.
Okay, so that was only 8
So,
years ago.
yeah.
Huh. So even after the FBI said that, there still were multiple cases that were happening.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't seen any new press releases about this or anything like that from the FBI. That was kind of the last thing that I've seen from them. Sources real quick: investigations.com, Crime Magazine, Oxygen, FBI.gov, Unsolved Mysteries.
Cool. So what's your overall take on it, or what's your gut feeling?
I Because I love mysteries and I love things that interconnect.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to say I think that they're connected, but I really don't. Maybe a couple of them are,
Yeah.
but I don't think all of them are.
Yeah.
I mean maybe like I mean we had two Minnesota cases. Maybe they're related. I don't know, but I could see that more than all of these cases from everywhere are connected.
Yeah.
They just there are some like discrepancies that we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
like when the body was found, how it was found, and
The state of the body
the
and all
state
that
of the
stuff.
body. It
Yeah.
was just not consistent enough for me to say, okay, this really sounds like it's the same person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my first gut reaction is like, forget the overarching smiley face theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of these cases don't sound like they went down the way that police concluded they did,
Yeah.
just on their own individual merit. Like it seems like a lot of the cases there was something more going on there
Mm-hmm.
than what was ruled or what was determined to be the
Yeah.
cause of death. So that I would like think that there's something else going on in some of these cases.
Yeah.
But I like it's hard to. We don't have enough evidence. They're not all similar enough, and like I don't know. It would be one thing if like every like somewhere like on the body or something had like a smiley face on it,
Yeah.
but I mean just
It being in the area.
yeah, and like I don't know, that seems weird to me.
It could be a weird coincidence. I don't know. It could be
Mhm.
a weird coincidence that just so happened to be. And I mean, even some of these on here, like we have no confirmation if there was a smiley face or not.
And like how
Eh,
close and like and I
Yeah,
mean even if somebody dumped a body at one point in a river and then like they spray a smiley face there, but then like what happens if the body floats down river 2 miles?
exactly.
Then all of a sudden it's not by the smiley face, which
Yeah.
I mean, like that could lead you to also say like maybe there's other cases that people didn't connect the smiley face, symbol with because it was further upstream or upriver or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the other thing that I think is weird is that there's not hasn't been a lot of um like surveillance footage of these people like getting into someone's car or like getting
Yeah.
into I don't know, you'd think there'd be something that would show like someone else around these people. I mean we had the one case, I think the first one, where like the person was being tailed by a car
Yeah.
with a man and a woman in it. But other than that, it doesn't seem like there's any other like evidence of them getting thrown into a car, them getting
Yep.
approached by anybody like that
Mm-mm.
or anything like that. And you'd think that there'd be something there.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing was like the case with they were at a hockey game. Like he asked someone where he was, so he was obviously around people, but
Hmm. But there wasn't like, you didn't hear like a thud after that. You didn't hear him
no.
yell for
Yeah.
anything. Like there was no sign that those people did anything to him or interacted with them
Right.
beyond just telling him where they were.
Yeah, and I mean he did say on the phone to his fiance, "Hey, my phone's going to die."
Hmm.
You know,
So it wasn't like the Brandon Swanson case or something
yeah.
where like, you heard an exclamation and the phone just cut out and,
Yeah.
all that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I'm really on the fence with it. It doesn't fit in my mind for a lot of reasons, but there's also so many questions that
Yeah.
and similarities and things
Yeah.
that it's hard to discount it as well.
Yeah. I am glad that the one case got reclassified as a homicide
Hmm.
because that one just makes no sense.
Yeah, yeah. And that's I mean, a lot of the cases don't make sense, but some of them even more so. You're like, come on,
Yeah.
that's not an accidental.
I mean, it's not just one or two red flags. We got a whole field of red flags over
Yeah,
here, you know?
yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm on the fence with it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other theory that has connected itself to the smiley face, which isn't from the original investigators, but just in general, like on the internet, people is talking about how it might be like a cult related thing, or it might not be one person doing it, but it might be like a group of
Oh,
individuals that are the
yeah.
smiley face killers, and that would make more sense with the discrepancies in
Mm-hmm.
location and everything.
Yeah.
That it's like some underground internet group or something on the
Mm.
dark web that is doing these killings, and that would take away from the like lone serial killer
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
But there's also like no evidence that there is some group out
No.
there. No one's found that on the dark web. There's no evidence to like really substantiate there is a group out there
Right.
that is are the smiley face killers. So
I do remember seeing that when I was diving deep into Reddit.
yeah, and again, like the internet, it, you have to take all of it with a grain of salt,
Oh, yeah.
because everybody has an opinion, which is freedom of speech. Yay, cool, but also like it doesn't mean that any of it is true or reasonable.
No,
So
no. But we would love to hear your opinion.
yeah, what do you think? I mean, this one is one that is it's a mystery. It's we don't have the answer. Nobody has the answer except maybe
No.
if there is a killer or killers. But let us know what you think.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, we're not almost in tears over here, so I count that as a
No,
win.
yeah, I mean that shows how dark the Jacob Wetterling was when this one is like a little lighter feeling, even though
Hmm.
it's still horrific and terrible.
Still awful.
Yeah,
Still horrible.
still young people dying. So
Exactly, which is
yeah,
awful.
yeah.
And if you haven't checked that case out, go check it out.
Hmm.
Um, there are trigger warnings. So, well, you can find us on all of our social media platforms. They are linked down below for you, and our email is there too. Feel free to stop by and say hi or give us a recommendation for what we should do next. Until next time, bye.
Bye.